G'day crew and welcome back. I'm Todd from Toxic Garage Customs. What have we got in store today? Well, been doing a bit of work on my green XM. Let's go and take a look, eh? So what we are going to be doing is replacing Pandora's torque box on my green XM. Pandora's torque box, you say? Hang around, find out why I've given it that name. So there's going to be probably four videos about how I go about replacing the torque boxes in this. In this video, part one, you're going to see me go through the initial shock of finding all the rust, and once I get over that, then ripping the thing apart, removing the torque box and having a look what's underneath. And unfortunately, this series of videos is called Opening Pandora's Torque Box, and you'll see why. Anyway, I'll see you at the end. I hope you find this interesting, and hopefully if you're about to do this on your XM or XP, then you'll learn some tips. Let me know. See you at the end. Well, looky here. We got my XM on the hoist. Now, this is one of the primary reasons why I wanted a hoist, so I can look underneath my cars. And when I've looked underneath this one, I've got a little bit of a mystery surprise. Now, I knew I had a bit of rust coming through in the sill here, and that's okay. It's not okay, but it is what it is. So there is a hole just there, and there's evidence of some rust activity in this area. Not just these spots here, but just here. There's some bubbling coming from underneath. So that was one of the reasons I wanted to get this thing onto the hoist, and one of the reasons why I wanted a hoist. Now, a bit of history on this car. I built it from a barn find, a shed find or whatever. It's got a 302 Windsor C4 and a Borg Warner diff in it, and it's got all brake and suspension upgrades as well. I engineered it. Here in Australia, we have to have that engineered to meet with the day's standards, and I won't go into that because it changes from state to state. But what I have found while I've been looking under here, and this car has been neglected by me for a year or more now. I don't drive it much. I love this car. I don't drive it much, and unfortunately that neglect is showing through. What I have just here, and I'm just behind the front wheel, I'll change the angle, just behind the front wheel in an area called the torque box on these vehicles, and what you can see is rust. There's a hole right in the middle there, one up there, and a bunch of rust going on just there. So there's a bit of rust in the door here and so on. This car's mechanically good. Okay, it needs a little bit of maintenance, but mechanically good. But the body is where it's starting to show signs of deterioration. Now, the torque box over here also got a rust hole right in the middle there. So I've just got to this in time, I think, because this car was a really dry car. So what I'm going to need to do is work out a way, because I want to work on my hoist, work out a way where I can move the arms here to a different part of the car, maybe under the subframe rail in the middle of the shot here, next to the exhaust, just as long as it's strong enough, so that I can start investigating the torque box and do some rust repairs. Because the big picture for this is I want to give it a full birthday. I want to give it a full refurb and make it beautiful. It presents well, but it's a 20-foot car. It looks good from 20 foot away, and when you get up closer, then there's signs. There's rust in the roof, just little bits, and I don't want it to get too far. I feel guilty that I've let it get this far, but I don't want it to get any further. So that's going to be a project. Right, now what we're going to do is replace the handbrake cable on the XM, because it's been broken for quite a while now, and I've had it for quite a while, but I've been waiting to get a hoist, and that moment came recently, as you will have seen in videos. So I can do it on a jack and all the rest. I don't like doing that. So this is the handbrake cable here, the front handbrake cable. So it goes up through here, through the side of the rail, and up into the cab, and the handbrake lever is on the right hand side of the steering wheel near the door. Being right hand drive, it's on the right hand side. Okay, so there's that. Now what I have waiting over here amongst my inventory is this box just here, and it says XM, which is what my car is. Engine brace. So I've got a billet engine brace to put in there that I may or may not have put in. Lowering blocks, which are for the other XM, and look at that, a handbrake cable. There's a brand new handbrake cable in that box that's there that says Protex. It's not a Protex handbrake cable, but it's in there. We're going to fix that. There's a couple other little things I need to fix on it as well. The self-cancelling mechanism on the steering wheel is not working, and a few other little things. So the XM's a project. Okay, Sam's there. What have you done to my car, Sam? What's all that?
Weight reduction.
Weight reduction. So this is what we call rust. That's not what you want to find. And you look at this, that's not just rust. That's big bits of rust. That's like the size of a baby's hand, maybe my feet. So yeah, we've got some rust. That is all out of the torque box on this side. And there's also a hole in here, so where I am is under the front, near the driver's seat. There's a hole into the sub rail here, and all of that stuff just came out of in here. Now I've started undoing the plate on the other side, and as soon as I did that, water started dripping out, so that's always a good thing. I'm actually thinking what I'm going to do here, I'm probably going to cut this weld here, cut across here, find a spot here, take it off the inner sill, take it off up here somewhere, right at the top up there, and take this whole piece out so I can get in here, repair the side of the subframe, and I'll either remake one of these, buy one, or repair this. One of those. So it's got to be pretty major there, but I don't want to muck around with it. It's a structural part of the car, and I could make it look pretty and not do it properly, or I can just do it properly. And over here, I've taken one screw out of here. These don't normally have this plate. I put this plate here because when I first got this car, just to be clear, this one here, this plate's actually so you can access the handbrake cable. They don't normally have one here. I put this one here because when I opened the other side originally, about 10, 12 years ago, it was full of soil. Mud, actually. So I put one here, and sure enough, this side was full of mud as well. It's just a design flaw with these and Mustangs. They're pretty similar in that regard. So what you can see is this water. I've undone one screw, and when I try and play with that, that's just full of water. So any soil, any dust that gets in there, which as it does because it's not a good design, you've got these holes here, I think which are meant to probably be plugged, but it doesn't matter. It can get in through areas up here, stuff getting thrown from the wheel into that area, little gaps, stuff is going to get in there. Water gets on that dust, it turns to mud, it stays there, you get rust. So we're going to pull this off and see what happens. You like my beanie? I've got a cold head.
It's not warm.
No. Look at that, full of water. See that water coming out? Any water. What do we got? I bet it doesn't look pretty up there.
No, it does not.
No, so what do we got? Let's see if I can pull out parts of the subframe. Look at that. This one, this big piece, came from just there. My finger's not supposed to be able to go through there because there's not supposed to be a hole there. You know what? Better to find it than to not know it's there. I would prefer to have the shock, which I did yesterday, of finding it. This side's not actually rusted through more, but there's not as much big flaky stuff. But yeah, it's just really wet in there. Obviously water, I think it comes from the plenum in front of the windscreen, where the wipers are, and comes down and all just gets trapped there. And yeah,
You almost need to drill a hole in the bottom of it.
Yeah, to make it drain, yeah. That's a good suggestion. I think we will be doing that. Even leaving this off, just leaving this off completely, is probably not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Righto, let's go and have dinner. Okay, so it's been a few weeks since I first discovered the rust in the torque boxes. Got the wheels off here, ready to go because my torque boxes have arrived. Now I got these from Retro Rods Custom Sheet Metal in Maroochydore, Queensland. I have no affiliation with them, and just to keep things completely above board, $828. A lot of money. So I'm hoping they're a good product. Now, I considered making these myself, and I don't really know why I went down the path of not doing that. I just decided to buy them. Could I have made them? Yes, not in one piece, but I could have made them. So let's see how they go. I'll give a good honest review on them. So far they don't look too bad. I have placed this one here, the driver's side one, up in place, up against here, and while it's hard for me to show you using one hand, and also it doesn't quite fit in there yet because the other one's still there, it actually seems to fit. So it's got, seems to have all of the appropriate folds and bends and so on that need to go into particular places. It's got the various holes in the right place. So good start. So it's got little things like where this notches in around the subframe here. It's got those little cutouts. They all seem to be the right shape. So yeah, by the looks of things, they've made it from a good starting point. I measured the steel up, and the one in my hand that I've just purchased is about 2 millimeters thick. So let's zero this in. A bit hard to see, but it was a little bit less than that, in fact. Whereas it was close to 2 mil when I measured it. And this one here, when I can find a spot that isn't measured, isn't all rusted and pitted up, this appears to be closer to 2.5 mil thick. But as you will know, that steel does tend to get a bit thicker before it gets thinner. Well, that's only 2 mil there, so I take that back. Maybe it's the same thickness. Okay, so I'll go down the path that I think they're the same thickness. That's a good thing. Customer service was good, I have to say that. I spoke with a lady named Sonia. She was very helpful. They didn't have them in stock. A couple of weeks later, she called me and said, "We've got them, would you like them?" They're on my doorstep 3 days later. So I got no problem with service. So the process, let's have a look at this. So I am a member of, and have been for quite a long time, over 10 years, the XK, XL, XM, XP Falcons Australia's Facebook page site. People are always very helpful there, and I reached out to ask if anyone had done this job, not so much the job, but while doing it on a 2-post hoist. And the reason being is that the torque boxes are there to stop the car from twisting under torque, but mainly under acceleration. Torque was pointed out by one member, which is good. These are very similar to early model Mustangs. So the XKs and Ls didn't have these torque boxes, so it's this part here. They just had the structure underneath it, which will become more obvious once I pull those off. My concern was if I cut these off while it's sitting on a 2-post hoist like this, is the front of the car going to twist or sag? So everyone had the same thought as me. Well, not everyone. There was a couple of rules of thought. People saying, well, the early models didn't have it. Don't worry about it. Cut it off, which is one approach. And the other approach was, yep, well, be careful. Maybe support the front end in some way to take the weight off. This has got a V8 in it, which they didn't come out with. Not that much heavier than a 6-cylinder, but a little bit heavier. The other approach was, yeah, to take care, maybe support the front before cutting and do one side at a time. And that's the approach I'm going to have. Probably just got to get a big solid bit of timber and put it up probably underneath the radiator support, lower the vehicle down on it, and just to take a little bit of the load off. It's a bit outback, but I think it'll work. So I'm going to go through and do some investigation. Looks like I've got to remove this part here, which I can't remember if you've got to take the guard off. No, I shouldn't have to. So I'll take that off. I'll show you along the way what I do, and then I'll support the front, and then we'll start cutting this thing out, I guess. I know there's some rust inside as well, so there's got to be other rust repairs that need to be done along the way, I have no doubt. Let's get into it. Okay, pretty agricultural, but they'll do the job. All I've done is got a piece of 4x2 hardwood and fitted it so it wedges in nicely underneath the rail here. Put some packers there. What I did was just sort of push the car up at the front just a little bit so that I could really wedge this under, so that when I'm working on the car it doesn't bounce out. And I've just put these bits of wire here. Looks pretty rough, but I've just put the bits of wire there quite literally so that if I'm working on the car, the piece of timber doesn't fall over and hit me on the head. But what I have achieved is that if I pull down on this, it's not going anywhere. So I can't pull down on it. So what that tells me is that once I release the pressure, if there's pressure to be had by cutting the torque box out, then the front of the car can't go down. I'll just do the driver's side first. So that's all it is. It's just a prop, just supporting it. So I think it'll do the job. So I guess I'll undo this panel down the side here and remove it. And then there's a bolt there, which I think might be from my accelerator pedal. Because I've got a custom setup there. It's from something that I've bolted in there that wasn't factory. And then I guess nice big ugly hole in there in the rail. So that'll be a repair. Looking forward to getting in there and fixing all that stuff. Yeah, and then I guess I'll just go around and start cutting welds out. Okay, so I've started taking this inner cover off. There was a 3/8 screw here, and two up on the side. Two up on the side, one up here and one up a bit further. It's still attached on something up the top there, so looks like I'm going to have to move my acro prop, my piece of timber, so that I can lower the car and have a look at that. Oh well, lesson learned. I've lowered it down, and that reminds me, I've got rust here in the plenum, and the same on the other side. So again, I'm not going to be surprised what I find, one thing at a time, but we'll see. As I said, things could have a beauty makeover. Doesn't look too bad in general, but I know that's a spot they rust. Strange spot to rust, I think. Anyway, so I'm not sure if this little 3/8 here is what I need to take out, so I'll try. The answer is yes. So a little 3/8 that goes here in the corner in the engine bay, it needs to come out to get this piece to fall down. That's it there. So it obviously supports into that hole just there. Okay, so back up again. Okay, so this is where I remove that from. You can see some rust in here, which is not part of the torque box, so there's got to be some other repairs. There's all water in there. It's amazing how it just holds water. Looks like could be a spot of rust there as well. There'll be other things other than the torque boxes. It's okay. Righto, so got exposure to everything. Just got to take that bolt off there now. And other than that, I think I'm ready to start cutting. So bolt, then cut. I can see some welds down here, down this area here. There's some welds up here. Looks like a weld up the top there. Pardon me. I imagine there's probably, it looks like spot welds down here. And then I imagine there's probably spot welds across the back. And then it looks like there's some little stitch welds along here. So I'll just use an angle grinder to go through and cut through these stitch welds. And then where there's spot welds, I think what I'm going to do is get a flat oil on my angle grinder and go through and clean up all these edges so I can see better what's there. And then I'll probably either grind or drill the spot welds off. And if I can get an angle grinder into these, I'll just cut straight through them. Just got to make sure I don't cut through anything I don't want to. Of course, I can very weld it, but I prefer not to. That gives us a better view. So along the side here you can see where the spot welds are, those little round circles. And across the back here, while not quite as obvious, there you can see that is a spot weld there and so on. So I'm going to drill those out. And as I said, there is some beads, I guess, along the side here. So I'll cut through those. Up the top here, same, there's pore 15 there, so it's sort of a bit coated, so it's a bit hard to clean up, but I can get to it with a grinder. Not really sure across the top here, can't tell what is there, so I'm sure once I start releasing the rest of it, it'll become clear. And then up on this outer edge just here, you can see there's some spot welds that hold the edge. So I'm going to grind the surface off some, and I'm going to drill some out, and I'll use a die grinder with others. So follow along. Oh, what have I got over here? Oh yeah, this piece under here, there's a couple of spot welds there. A little bit awkward to get to, but we'll get to it. What I've done so far is just over this side, I've drilled some holes with about a 3mm bit, and then I've opened it up with about a 8 or 9mm bit, and that's in the center of the spot welds. I'm trying not to destroy the metal on the back too much. Now when I've been cold chiseling it off, they have been bent back, but that's okay, I can tap those forward. And I have drilled through them completely in a couple of spots, which is also fine. I'll just weld them up, because the new plates don't have holes for spot welds there, because normally it's an electric tool that bzz, 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 spot welds it. I'll be doing plug welds, so I'll be drilling a hole about this size, maybe a little bit bigger, on my new torque boxes, and clamping the two front and back pieces together, and then welding those plug welds to bring it together. So I'll fill in the holes from the back there, if they're over drilled or whatever. So I've done these through here, haven't got into these ones here. I was playing around with a die grinder as well, and figured I'll just drill it, which is the traditional way. And you can get spot weld drills, which I don't have, so I'm just using just normal high-speed steel drills. I also went through and cut here with a zip disc, 1mm disc, and then ground it down. I'm pretty sure that's not separated yet. I'm not trying to peel that back too much at the moment, because like I was having here, this is resisting because it's all still secured in other places. I should go through and really release everything and then try and do it, but I'm just, I'm not. So I'm going to go through and do these spot welds here in the same way. And then up in here, I've got to get up in here, you can't see it, there's 2 spot welds just here. It's a little bit tricky for me to get up in there, so I might just use an angle grinder and cut through the torque box and then worry about taking the plate off later with a grinder, rather than try and take the spot welds out. Let's do that. Okay, so I've got part of it to pop out. I just thought I'd show you what I was doing there. I had my cold chisel and it wasn't reaching past my hoist, so I just used an old 1/2 inch drive extension and put that in, put the chisel in there, and it made a longer chisel, which made the job easier because I really couldn't get in there before. Can't actually get the thing to fit now, but it did fit. Maybe I've mushroomed the end of it now. Anyway, so over here, what I have got is I drilled out the spot welds across the back there. Oh, that's because that's the chisel I was using there and it's still in there. Drilled out the spot welds across the back here, and I cut the welds across here that I'd shown you. Nice bit of rust popping out there. And you can see I've managed to get this half to spring down already. So I need to continue on along here, doing this bit and so on, but it is getting there. One thing I can say for sure is that spot welds might not look like much, but this thing wasn't going to fall off. It's amazing the amount of strength a few welds will give. Well, we've had some rust falling on the floor. Okay, up here. So what we can see, in most parts I've been able to get this out just with the spot welds and so on. This part here, it's still fixed on here. I've just cut through here and I'll worry about getting this little slither off later. You can see there's probably a bit of rust in there to be fixed anyway. So, well, yeah, that. Taking it off through here. Up through here I did the same thing. I just cut through, so the part where my finger is I need to clean up. But overall, this is the torque box. This here, I think this is the last spot weld I need to finish off. Focus. I need to finish off. Got my chisel stuck in there at the moment. There's a weld up here. There's actually a braze. Wouldn't be surprised if there's a previous repair. I think it has had a mild hit in the front here. So you can see most of this is wanting to come off. It's still a bit tight. It is loose there, but it seems to be stuck on something, so maybe it's just stuck on the weld. But I think it's just about ready to come off, so I'm going to try and release, just finish this one here off. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's something else over here. I did cut around here. I wasn't sure whether there was a spot weld or what it was, but again, I'll clean that up after I got better access. So I'm going to bust this one out. Then there might be something over there. It might just need that these welds need cleaning up, but I think it's better to fall on the ground. Okay, let's check this thing out. So other than the fact that I've drilled the spot welds out and had to cut it and so on, it's not absolutely rotted out. Like, it's rotted out enough, and I'm happy that I'm doing it, but it's not completely rotted out. There's a hole in here that's not supposed to be there, but you can see, I reckon I could probably stick a screwdriver through it in certain pieces, but the reality is that it is pretty horrible. Like, it's pretty pitted, and it was going to rot out. Yeah, well, as I said, peel one layer, get to the next layer, so it's like an onion, as they say. Anyway, we're getting there. It's all pulled apart. In the next video, watch me repair the first step, and then see what happens in video 3 and video 4. What I can tell you is confidently, at the end, it's all fixed. Like, comment, share and subscribe. See you on the next one. See you then. Stay safe.